found out his rap could be his salvation. Well, now he's talking all across the nation. It's the Ed Tyll Show. It's the Ed Tyll Show. Come on, everybody. It's Ed Tyll. Now that you tuned him in, you know what I mean. People call him up, discussing every scene. Love him or hate him, he's gonna have his say. He's gonna speak his mind each and every day.
It's not about Trump, it is about the United States.
Tom, she said differences of opinion, which you heard from the FBI and the CIA. The CIA went far enough to draw a conclusion that Russia was trying to affect this in a positive way for Trump in the election. The FBI did not. Why is there that split?
Well, because I think that the CIA information coming out is more along the lines of the Russians got into the emails of the DNC and some of the officials associated with the Clinton campaign. Therefore, it must have been to throw the election. So we haven't heard any direct evidence that shows that that was actually the motive for them getting into it. The other thing is that, the question I have here is, what did the president know and when did he know it?
Yeah. Big question for the executive branch, right? How long has this theory been floating around that the Russians are trying to get Trump elected? I've heard this over and over. So now, after the election, way after the election, you say you think, you say you believe. Who the hell has been working on this? And whoever was working on it, I guess they didn't do a very good job of either sourcing it, finding what's really going on, and what about stopping it? Cyber attacks are nothing new. TrumpTalkRadio.com, The Ed Tyll Show. All right, every Monday through Friday in the noon hour on Starcom Radio Network, it's Trump Talk Radio at TrumpTalkRadio.com.
The .com domain. Why is that relevant? Because that's the domain likely that John Podesta and the DNC were working on. They weren't in government. They weren't on .gov or .mil. So that's why it's relevant that these intelligence agencies are saying this. As to the timing issue, what we don't know is, maybe it wasn't taken seriously. It was certainly raised.
Oh, now I see. It wasn't taken seriously. Oh, are there any more excuses left? Every time there's a problem, you got to ask yourself, who was in charge? Whose job was it to make sure the problem got stopped? Not to mention prevented, right? He's not going to his briefings every day. You know something? He's the executive. They are the briefers. Let's keep it straight here. Who's running the show? So I'm watching around the weekend, and they're like, why aren't more people upset about what they think happened in this election? Look, you want to make a charge that says the election was tampered with. You want to make a charge that you know who is doing the tampering. Get your ducks in a row. But this is the second time that the CIA leader has tried this now, the director of the CIA. First thing was, if you touch the Iran deal, there's going to be problems. Well, the Iran deal, as you may have seen over the weekend, took a turn in the direction that candidate Trump said it should, which was, if they're going to buy planes, they need to be spending their money with an American company, not with a European company or buying them elsewhere. And what was announced over the weekend? Iran is using the money to buy new planes, to buy them from whom? The United States company, Boeing. So let's keep our eye on the ball. Number two, if there were such certainty among members of the CIA about the hacking of the U.S. election, why is it not clear to the FBI? Two intelligence agencies. Well, the FBI is in charge of intelligence here, law-breaking here in the United States. If there was tampering in the election, that would be a crime on our soil. So who would you look to verify that in fact this happened? You'd look to the FBI. The same FBI that looked into Hillary Clinton. So let's keep our eye on the ball. The CIA, unfortunately, and this is, I don't think anything new in American history, the CIA has become politicized. The CIA is not crazy about the president-elect. Too bad is that answer. Number two, you don't go public with things that you're not sure of. That's item number one. That's what the media just did for a year and a half. And you can see how that worked out for them. Their credibility is the lowest ever. Their accuracy was horrible. It was good for nothing, the accuracy of what the media told us during the election cycle. So I guess what happens is when you get politically and emotionally involved, I guess you start to make mistakes. I guess you start to use opinion ahead of fact and evidence. You got to hand it to the FBI. They took a lot of heat for what they did. They backed in. They backed out. They acted on what they knew. The CIA is planting these ideas, these theories, and then it's transparent that they don't know. We also heard an update this morning that the hacking that was done during this election cycle does not have definable fingerprints, that is cyber fingerprints on it. They're not sure. They're using deductive reasoning, which is great if you're investigating. But if you're publishing your results, you don't want to start with, it must be, or we're pretty sure it is, or we're convinced, or we believe. Those are not the appropriate terms for an announcement. That means it's still a work in progress. So let's get the important issue out on the table. We have an executive now who is about to take office in January, who, whether you like him or not, he's definitive. He is used to, in business, you say what you got, and if you don't got it, you talk about something else. This is a welcome change. This atmosphere of bureaucratic opining, I like that word, using opinion to sway the public's impression of what's going on is unethical at the least. So, what do we know? We know we don't know who hacked the U.S. election process. If you want to look at the source of the email publishings that were done during the election cycle, that is WikiLeaks, WikiLeaks is saying openly, without any question, this was not something they hacked. This was something that was leaked. A leak is someone inside a system taking confidential information and giving it to a media source like WikiLeaks or the Washington Post or the New York Post or the LA Times. That's what leaking is. Now, is leaking against the law? Many cases it is. Have people ever gone to jail for leaking? You bet they have. Will reporters always accept a leak? Absolutely not. They're looking for the credibility of the leak. So this is leaked information. Now, if it was leaked by the Russians, the people receiving the leaks would know that. But we know from paying careful attention that the leaks throughout the election cycle were indeed from that website entitled WikiLeaks. So let's keep it straight. We got plenty to talk about here. Secretary of State, possibly the CEO of ExxonMobil. I can tell you this has people shaking in their boots in every sector of the liberal crowd. They're just going nuts about it. But the good news is that people who have made deals with foreign countries for their companies, like ExxonMobil, they have been down this road before. Hostile, sometimes the country not crazy about us, not crazy about American business. But if you're able to succeed with a deal, a give and take with mutual benefit, that is in fact a skill. Being friends is such a ridiculous term. It is used figuratively. You have no friends in business. You have no friends in international relations. What you have are mutual self-interest. So to run around and go, well, this guy's a friend of Vladimir Putin is an ignorant and immature thing to say. Yeah, they shake hands. Yeah, they give each other pats on the back. It's all about what they accomplish. And plenty has been accomplished by ExxonMobil's CEO, Rex Tillerson. Not to mention, the guy is a genius for what he's done with that company. And that's also public record. His improvement of how they operate, where they operate, and obviously how profitable they are. Those are all skills that the American people deserve to finally have on their side. You know, I understand people say, well, in order to run the government, you got to know how the government works. You got to have experienced people been around the block with the government. We're full of those. We're overdosing on those. We're swimming in those people. What we don't have, and this was part of the campaign, is we don't have any examples from the bureaucracy of success in what the declared agenda is. Try to think, because it was asked all during the election, try to think of how many items would be on this list. Here's what was accomplished during the last 8 years. Yeah, they jammed through a healthcare law, the Affordable Health Care Act. That got jammed through, right? There were no Republican participants in that. And that might be the reason that right now both houses of Congress are dominated by Republicans and there's a Republican headed to the White House. That might be exactly why it happened, because no one likes having something jammed through the legislative process that's going to affect everybody. If you're going to put out a policy that is critical like healthcare, and it's going to affect everybody in the country in all 50 states and all different ages and family configurations, if that's what you're doing, you have a duty to include both operative parties in on that deal, to give it validity, to give it legitimacy, to get a buy-in is what you like to call it. Get people to buy in and derive ownership from that. None of that happened. Now, once you get past killing bin Laden and passing the Affordable Care Act, the list gets shorter by the second. So all of this Chicken Little, the sky is falling, Donald Trump, what's going to happen? And, oh, if only we would have had another president like Barack Obama. You know, the time for that has passed. It is time now to give opportunity to the choice from that election, the Trump administration, to build, construct itself, and to do the kinds of things it's already begun doing. The jobs that were saved at Carrier, first it was more than 1,000, now it's less than 1,000. Let's stop arguing about the fine points here. The people whose jobs are saved in Indiana from the deal made by Trump and Carrier Air Conditioning, which is really United Technologies, the people who had their jobs saved, they're the ones that matter. The saving of jobs, not the numbers off, the numbers slightly off, the numbers, that's not the issue. The issue is real jobs have been retained that were about to leave this country and leave that community with hundreds of unemployed people, which each have a family at home, buy food, buy clothing, pay taxes, and attempt to pursue their happiness. That's what we need to care about. Ed Tyll, Starcom Radio Network. This is Trump Talk Radio, Monday through Friday in the noon hour Eastern Time. And I am very grateful for our very, well, let's just face it, they're extraordinary people. We have some we have some very highly valued sponsorship, and we would like to thank those folks right now, and some very, very interesting products, services, and ideas. Starcom Radio Network, The Ed Tyll Show, TrumpTalkRadio.com. All right, I love these guys. What a great idea this is.
Can you feel it? Listen close. That's the sound of you relaxing on the beach. You're lying on a lounge chair with a cold drink by your side, and staff nearby happy to take care of you. Then cool off with a dip in the ocean or a splash in the pool. Sound like paradise? It can be with your help. Please take a moment to go to www.indiegogo.com and search for the Blue Sky Beach Resort. You'll love the perks we're offering, and we'll love any support you can give us. That's the Blue Sky Beach Resort on Indiegogo.com.
Mr. Tyll,